Cycling Biomechanics, first project. First of all, what is cycling? Which benefits does it bring to our life? Well, the cycling is the use of a bicycle for sport, to move our body just for fun, or also transportation. It began to be considered as a real sport in 1868. The sport itself is governed by the Union Cyclists International, and it has an amateur races for both men, women, child, by age, or groups, etc. It's a very popular sport back in Europe. The cycling, more than a sport, it also is for recreation and transportation, and it has a good impact in our body. Some of the benefits are powers immune system, weight loss, fat loss, improves blood circulation, reduces cholesterol levels, increases strength of the heart, increases lung capacity, and strengthens muscles. The muscles that are involved are gluteus maximus, semimembranosus hamstring, biceps femoris hamstring, vastus medialis quadriceps, rectus femoris quadriceps, vastus lateralis quadriceps, gastrocnemius medialis calves, gastrocnemius lateralis calves, soleus calves, and tibialis inferior. Every sport has its own set of primary muscles responsible for the majority of work of the sport specific motion. Primary muscles of mover are the first muscles called upon when there is a need for increased speed or force. For a cyclist, their muscles are located in the hips and the legs. Well, to begin with the project, to start to analyzing the video, we used the software Skill Spectre and RichMath. First, what is RichMath? Well, RichMath is a software that lets us analyze the movement of the person that we are studying frame by frame, and in each frame we can obtain the positions among other things, like the time between every marker. Here is a picture using the software. First, we change the format video to AVI so we can manipulate it from RichMath. And by using the frame-by-frame function mentioned before, we put the markers where we wanted to put the position respective time. RichMath was way easier to use than Skill Spectre, but have the same principles. We put the marks in the body parts we wanted to analyze, as we can see here in the picture. The other software we used to obtain the results was Skill Spectre, which is a video-based motion and skill analysis tool for Windows. For our video, our teammate Alejandra was pre-recorded for the analysis of the video with the Skill Spectre's program. The video was uploaded in Skill Spectre, and the purpose was to localize the important places with the markers: ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, and right arm. Here is a picture of the markers on the subject's body. As we can see, there are red lines. And after all the markers were positioned frame by frame, we obtain a 3D animation where we observe the center of gravity, and we could use to analyze the movement done by the cyclists. Here is the development of the project. The Skill Spectre gave us the movement recreation. The next step was to obtain the graphs we were gonna use in Excel. For that, we selected the markers of interest in each case. Here is the first graph, as we can observe, and it's about the hip position, knee position, ankle position, and toes. Well, here is an example of how it looked, but with RichMath. Well, later in the Excel, we use those graph results to obtain velocity, acceleration, radians, angles, angular velocity, and angular acceleration. After the data that RichMath gave us, we put into Excel to obtain the position and frame of that position. The information all of this data gave us left us with just one work to do: divide the frame by 6 by 60 so we can get 60 frames in just 1 second. With all of this information, we did a graph for time regard, the axis X, and the other with the time regard with axis Y. We did this process with the knee, ankle, hip, toe, and shoulder. After all the graphs were ready, we focus on get the equation for every graph to be able to calculate the velocity and acceleration by doing the first derivative and the second derivative. As we can see here, the equation for velocity and acceleration. But the other aspect, very important, was that we could check if the position was right by changing in the equation the x for the time we had in the chart. Then we calculate the difference between the x and the point of the body with the point of reference, in this case the hip. We did the same with the y at the point to analyze with the reference. The data was very important so we could calculate the rads and degrees. They were used to get the angular velocity and angular acceleration. The formulas we used was this ones. As we can see, the first one is angular velocity and the second one is for angular acceleration. With all this data, we made some comparative graph with every aspect and make a conclusion about how it's being during the movement. With all of this information, we know that the cycling is more than just a sport. It's an activity where bone and muscular structure are involved on the movements that are made. With every movement, joint and graph, we get analysis and conclusion. Will lead us to recognize that in each angle of the circumference there is a variation in all the factors involved, such as force, acceleration, speed, etc. Nowadays, there are a lot of software that help us analyze sport movement in order to be able to analyze or to give a better therapeutic treatment in case it is required. Said investigations are also carried out for the ergonomic improvement of bicycles, in this case of all the devices used for exercise so that they better adapt to the anatomy and needs of each person.